Today?
Excellent.
Doing good. Energy's high. Everyone's good.
Yes,
How'd everyone do on the calls this morning there, John? John, nice sweater. What the hell?
Thanks, man. This is all Alex. Where's ours, Alex?
Sweet.
Is it your birthday?
Oh.
Uh-oh. Awesome. Yeah, just John's birthday coming up. It's gonna be fun and exciting. Good times. Good times. All right, guys. So last week we talked about scripts. We talked about what scripts to use when. We talked a little bit about tonality. We'll probably dig into that a little bit more this week, but this is just a general lead generation training. So it's kind of like, okay, so now you know what to say. Now we're going to figure out how and why to say it. But before we get into the entire training of lead generation, I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and realize why it is that we do what we do. There's this beautiful book called Discipline Equals Freedom. And it's such an awesome concept, because the question that I have to ask you guys is, why did you get into real estate in the first place? Or why are you seeking to get into real estate? What is the main reason? What are some of the reasons?
Helping people find a home.
Help, what's that?
Help people find their home.
Yeah, help people find their dream home. Absolutely. That's the topical answer. Absolutely.
Working your own hours?
Sure. Yeah. We're dancing around it now. I think Susan already said it, but I don't want to.
Freedom!
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's freedom, right? But freedom means different things to different people. And I think that's an important thing to distinguish, is that what does freedom mean to Connor might be very different than what it means to Susan. To Connor, it might mean golfing 4 times a week and still making a good enough salary to live, having a good time. You know, shouldn't call it salary, that's okay. But, so freedom means different things to different people. What does it mean to you guys? Go ahead and shout it out. No wrong answers, obviously.
Your own hours.
Hey, Benji. Would you like this? Here, John, you throw yours and you take this one. So I've got my own definitions of freedom. One of my favorite ways of defining it is no ceiling. One of the things that I like about real estate is that there's no like, oh, you're in marketing. You can only make X. You can never exceed X, or else it's just like it's crazy and they'll find a way to get rid of you because they're overpaying you for a job that they can pay somebody else less and probably get almost the same results. So I like that there's absolutely no ceiling. What else? What do you guys?
To me, freedom means that if I want something, I just want it.
Okay, so yeah, financial freedom. Absolutely. Like, yeah, that's awesome. So I actually kind of had that written down as well. I think freedom is a lack of fear. Right? You don't necessarily have to fear for your money if you're going to go to a certain place and buy 2 boxes of cards and, you know what I mean, and bring here and we all open it up for shits and giggles, right? It's not like it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to break the bank, you know? So yeah, I think lack of fear there kind of plays there really, really well. I also think freedom is opportunity, right? It's like, and I love viewing real estate as the greatest opportunity that's ever happened to me personally in my life, is that it's a great vehicle. Right? It doesn't have to be, you know, everybody's in real estate, that's awesome. And you'll probably be in real estate for a super long time. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the end result. You understand what I mean? It's a great vehicle to get you to a lot of different places. You know, you can make $250,000 if you wanted to. Not many people have the work ethic to do it. But you can make $250,000 if you want to. You can make 80 grand if you want to. You can make 50 grand if you want to. You can make 150 grand if you want to. It all kind of depends, and that's what I think freedom is the freedom to decide for yourself, you know, what it is that you feel that you're worth, and what it is that you're willing to sacrifice to be able to get what it is that you want in life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh God, yeah. Ooh, I love notes because I would have forgot that. I totally would have forgot that. So. Before we get into the lead generation too, I want to make sure that we're kind of on the same page of why it is we do lead generate, why we do have to go and create something from nothing, because I think that's part of freedom as well, is the ability to create. And I think that's super powerful stuff if you constantly remember that we are creators. We're creating business from nothing, from thin air, right? But before we can really address that to the level that I'd like to address it, we have to kill some sacred cows right now. So what that means is like, how many of you guys were taught that if you had your tires filled, it would save you on gas? Show of hands. How many people were taught, probably by their fathers, maybe their mothers, that if their tires were filled to a certain PSI, you know, whatever their tires are rated for, that you'll save money on gas. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure, right? Maybe you were taught also to maybe not run the AC if you wanted to save some money on gas, right?
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's heard that one? Yes, absolutely. Okay. Now this is going to be hilarious, but okay, finish this sentence. A penny saved is?
A penny earned.
Absolutely. John's the only one with a fucking brain here, guys. Wake up. Everybody wake the fuck up. A penny saved is?
Penny
Penny.
earned.
Absolutely. No, a penny saved is still a penny. It's just a penny. And there is not, you cannot save enough pennies to buy your freedom. It's absolutely impossible.
I love this.
So the idea is that, and what I'm trying to say, and I'm beating around the bush to say it, but make more money is always the answer. It's always, lead generation is always the answer. It's always like, oh, I'm stressing about this. What do I do? Lead generate. Go and get some more people into your fold, into your circle, into your team, into your database, into your leads, into whatever. It's all about lead generation. That solves absolutely everything. The beautiful thing is when you get good at it, you know, when you're at a level like, for instance, Susan is at, I don't think Susan will ever, for the rest of her life, fear for money. And I think that's really cool because she can always just think to herself, wait, if I ever get really stressed about money, I can just pick up the phone and create something out of nothing because I'm a creator. I can just make something happen because of the skills that I've built up over the last 3, 5, 10, whatever, how many years she's been doing what she's been doing. So I can tell you firsthand that I feel that way. I may have moments of stress regarding money, but I've never stressed in the large scheme of things. It's never like, oh my God, this is a world-ending situation. I've never felt that way about money because I've always been confident that if I ever get into a lot of trouble, I can pick up the phone and I can make something happen. I can create something from nothing. Now, show of hands, how many people want that ability? Hell yeah. So that's what we're getting into today, guys. That's what we're getting into today. Let me get focused here. So, oh God, I love that. It's so good. Okay. So the first thing I want to share with you guys is one of my favorite expressions, and I've got a couple of fun stories for you too. But one of my favorite acronyms in the whole world is NHTA. Does anybody know what that stands for?
Never heard of that.
Thanks, Alex. You know already. No, yeah. So it stands for never hurts to ask. So it just means, and again, beating around the bush, long-winded way of saying go for the close always. Always be closing. A, B, C, right? But yeah, it never hurts to go for the close because you never know what's going to happen. You know, we used to joke that if somebody actually said yes to us on the first time, we wouldn't even know what to say. But the idea is you want to go for it. And then you learn from when you do go for it. And that's the kind of the catch-22 that happens a lot for people in real estate, is they get scared, they don't go on the phone, so they never get any good. And then they think, oh, it's tough. Well, it's tough because you didn't get good because you didn't start being crap at it, right? And it becomes this kind of vicious circle. Or it can be a really awesome circle of learning. It's one of the reasons why I told Jess she needs to be making the calls with the door wide open. You know, when I was at Keller Williams, door was wide open. And even when I was shit, I was bad when I started, man. I was terrible. I didn't care. I just wanted, because I was right next to my mentor at the time, Rock Thomas. So I left the door wide open because I wanted him to hear my calls. Because at the time, he was resident in the office. He's not anymore, but at the time, he was right there. So I was making calls. If I said something stupid, or if I didn't navigate the way that I thought I should, he would just come out of the office, come in and be like, probably should have said that. Walk back in his office. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You know, so it's so valuable for me. I didn't care that I may have looked like a moron many times, which I likely did. But the other really cool thing, and this is just like a personal thing for me, is when I did get the appointment, when I did have a success, everybody in the office heard. Everybody. Because the door was open and all you heard was, boom, let's go! You know, because man, when you book an appointment with like an expired or for sale by owner, even with your shit, you've got a 20% chance of closing that. Even if you're complete crap. If you're really, really good, it might even just be a coin flip whether you get it. You know? If it's a referral, it's like basically 100%. But we're talking about lead generation right now. So the idea behind the whole reason I brought up NHTA is that you can take a step back in the kind of the lead generation process and realize what it is that you're doing. The first thing is you have to wrap your head around what it is that you're doing. You're not throwing yourself out there. You're not being rejected. Okay? That's the first thing you need to wrap your head around, is that they're not rejecting you. They are rejecting the idea of you. And that's totally fine, because ideas get rejected all the time. You do it all the time, every single day, all the time. And they're also programmed for that. We went over this a couple of weeks ago, I think. You're at a store, you're going through some stuff. Person who works at the store comes to you, says, hey, you need any help? What do you say?
No, thanks, just looking.
That's it, exactly. No thanks, just looking. So we're programmed to say no, the first thing. But the idea is we need to look at it from a top-down approach and say, okay, so what are we doing here? So the first thing we're doing is introducing ourselves. This is every single script, this is every single pitch, it's every single time. You introduce yourself, you introduce your product and service, and you just go for the fucking close right away. And the reason you do that is because it's the quickest way to get a yes, if it's going to be a yes, but then it's also the quickest way to find out what that person's main objection is. Might not be real the first time around, and that's okay. But it's the quickest way to get to the learning that you need to get to. So you go, you say, hi, I'm Susan, calling with this. I'm here to offer you this. What do you think? Immediately they say, no. Right? And it's getting past that first no that is going to decide whether you will be rich or not. If you give up after the first no and you say, okay, see you later, bye, click, you're going to lose 99.99% of your phone calls. It's how quickly and how naturally can you transition from no, fantastic, tell me, insert question here. How fast and how naturally can you get to that second question? Because that's when they're going to start opening up to you. Because they might just say no, they might not even tell you why. Right? So you just move on to the next question, you're going to open them up a little bit, you're going to find out why they said no in the first place, and you're going to loop back. Because essentially, that's all this is, guys. Every single sales call you've ever made, will ever make in your entire life, is just a sequence of forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, until it closes. That's all it is. You're going for the close, you're learning what it is that they didn't like about that, or you, or your product and service, and all that kind of stuff, and you loop back and try again, you loop back and try again, you loop back and try again. And the idea is, and every single sales movie in the entire world says this, you don't hang up, they hang up. Right? You don't say, okay, great, have a nice day. Fuck, what? No, you're not done. You're done when they hang up. When they're like, okay, this conversation is over, thank you, goodbye. That's when it's over. You guys don't decide when it's over, they do. So the idea is you want to keep those questions going. A great script is just great questions. So, some of my favorite questions. How long you been living there? What is it going to take for you to do X? You know, if I could show you, that's my #1 favorite question in the whole world, because you just listen to whatever their problem is, and then you say, if I could show you that I'm the exact fix for that, whatever that might be, if I could show you that, would that be worth 10 minutes of your time? I'll tell you what, I'm going to be in the area around this time. How about I pass by? You know, just if I could show you is like basically a cheat code for telephone-based sales. If I could show you. And it's just something you commit to memory, and it's easy. So the idea is that when you're talking about scripts, when you're talking about lead generation, the scary thing is that you have about a fraction of 1 second before you're judged, and you have 4 seconds for your opener before they decide whether or not they're going to do business with you. That's why I always say the most important part of a sales call is that opener. That's the part you should be rehearsing in the mirror. That's the part that you should be memorizing, that you take and kind of make sure that it's your words. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to keep the same structure, but the way that I speak might not be the same way that you speak, and that's totally fine. You know, mine might be a little more brash, a little more like, hey, buddy guy, you know, on the phone, and other people might just be a little more straightforward, and that's totally fine too. There's a million ways to make $1 million, but it's opening it up naturally that's really, really important, because you really only have 4 seconds. And 4 seconds sounds short, it's actually quite long. Like, if we start a timer, I could probably say, hi, I'm speaking with Connor. Hey, my name is Logan Boyce. I'm calling with Montreal's Elite Real Estate Group. And I did it right there. It's probably about 4 seconds. So you had a chance to introduce yourself, introduce your company, your product and service, all that kind of stuff. So you had a good amount of time there to kind of build something, which is great. But within 4 seconds, they're going to make that call. So that's why it's really, really important to do what's called mirroring and matching. Within reason. So I actually do it too much. And the example that I'll give you happened 20 minutes ago. So 20 minutes ago, I was on the phone with Jess. Not on the phone with Jess. We were making calls in the room there. And this guy answers the phone, and he's this like big time American.
Yeah.
Talking like this, you know, he's like, oh, hey there, buddy, how are you doing? You know, all this kind of stuff, you know, because we were calling some Americans for a coaching company, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, oh yeah, oh Jeff there, oh that's gonna be great, yeah, all right, and just shoot me over those details, well, we're gonna have a good time, sure, yeah. And I started kind of like adopting an ever so slight American accent, and I probably can't do it now, but when he was talking, I was like, yeah, absolutely, man, it's over there in Nebraska, yeah, Omaha, Nebraska. See, like just little intonations there. And to be honest, I shouldn't do that. It's a terrible, terrible habit. But it's just like I've been like the mirroring and matching has been ingrained in me over like 6 or 7 years. That I just start mirroring people when I meet them, especially when they're like fun and exciting. I'm like, me too. I want to be fun and exciting. Like he notched my energy level up because I thought I was going to notch him up, and he got on the phone. He was hyped. He was ready. So it was an awesome call. I had a similar experience many years ago when I was first starting to learn this whole like how to really influence people, how to sell people, how to really like get people on board, you know. And I was skiing at Jay Peak in Vermont, and I was there with my buddy Brian, and we were going up the chairlift, and it was a 4-person chairlift. So it was me, my buddy Brian, and these 2 guys. They were there for I think a bachelor party or something, and they were from Baston. Like straight from Baston, right? Like I can't even do the accent. I have to like hear it to be able to do it. But so the chairlift at Jay Peak's pretty long. It's a big ass mountain, right? So we're on our way up. We've probably got like 20 minutes, maybe 15. I don't know, but it's long. So I started doing the mirror matching. I swear to you, by the time I reached the top of that mountain, I was full Boston accent, like, full on take your car to the bar with you know what I mean, like the full on thing. And not only did they not notice, but those guys were like my best friends. We had a beer at the end of the day. And I was like, wow, this shit is really powerful. Because I was just starting to learn it, like within the weeks of implementing it there on the ski hill. So the idea of mirror matching is really, really important. It's double important in person, but it's very important to be able to match people's energies on the phone, match people's tones of voices to a certain extent. And also, to John's point, we've talked about this many times, is it's your duty and obligation to notch their energy level up at least a couple of points. Because that's how you get somebody to trust you and how to love you, is if you can notch their energy levels up. Because if you answer the phone, and they answer the phone, and they answer at like a level 4. You know what I mean? They're like, you know, it's their day. It might be Monday for them, and they're pissed because they don't have an awesome job like we do. So they're like, yeah, you know, what's going on, you know? And you can't come in at a 10, because that'll just piss them off. They're like, what is this guy so happy about? This guy has so much to be happy about. He's not going to ask you. He's just going to be jealous because it's just the way it is. But if you come in at like a 6, you know, passing grade energy level, like just, yeah, hey, great, yeah, awesome, sure. The guy's going to go, oh, okay. Maybe he notches up to kind of meet you. He comes up to like a 5. And if you can notch somebody up like that, you gain so much of their trust and respect and love. It's a beautiful thing to watch. So all this kind of stuff, I know it's probably like drinking from a fire hose a little bit, but it's all designed to kind of put it into the back of your head so you start thinking about it as time goes on. But so obviously there's tonality stuff that we're going to talk about too. But yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, sorry, 2 coffees today, huh? 2. That's way too many for me. I need like a coffee and maybe a half. But that's it. No, sorry, I have 3 today. Oh, jeez. I had one before I left the house too, my God. No, so listen, at the end of the day, we need to match a lot of things. Mirroring is really important too. Give me some examples of other things you can be mirroring and matching besides just energy level and tone. Absolutely, yeah. In person, there's body language.
Said it at the same time.
Guys, it's a tie. We'll play darts to see who wins after.
No, that's not a tie.
Yeah, true that. Absolutely.
Like
Can you
you're
match?
repeating what they say.
Yeah, this is really important too, and I think John talked about this a couple of weeks ago when there was a study done where a waitress was taking orders. So Max would say, "Yeah, I'll have, you know, the ribeye steak. Give me the this, that," and she'd repeat it back to Max in exactly the way that he said it, not in the accent that he said it in or anything like that, just exactly how he said it. And the tips were up like something like 20-30%. It was insane. And it was a large enough study where it did make sense too.
Just like when you repeat their name after you tell them your name.
Yeah.
It just mentally it brings them in.
Absolutely. Yeah, using the name is obviously super, super important. It's one of the things that I never did when I was calling for sale by owners, and then John started doing it. I was like, whoa, yeah, that's cool. So he'd be like, yeah, my name is Jonathan, blah, 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 calling about this, and you are?
I need to do that.
Very awesome.
I only asked
So
at the
simple
end.
as well.
Tried that a few times, and they're like,
Yes.
so that's,
Yeah.
well, hello there, yes.
But that's because Severo is renowned. So I know Severo for a long time now, and this guy's the radio voice pitcher.
Yeah.
He doesn't really change his tonality, which obviously can affect his sales calls from time to time. But man, I'm telling you, if Severo called me, I'd be listening. Good God, that guy's got a radio voice big time, which is awesome. Very, very cool. The interesting thing too is today I really wanted to talk about, this was all kind of talked about last week a little bit. We're just kind of digging into a couple of extra sections. But the most important thing is follow-up. That is the most important thing. So when we're talking about lead generation, we can't do that without talking about lead follow-up. So John, can you go on Google and search sales statistics in an image search for me just for a quick second? What I'm about to show you guys, maybe you've seen before, maybe not, but it's probably the most powerful crap I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm mad that I didn't see it in my first few years of career. It's a blue background, white text. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You have it better on me.
Nah. So check this out. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. About half of you will call one for sale by owner and never call them again. Okay? 25% of salespeople will make a second contact and stop. Right? 12% of salespeople make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts to a single person. Okay, I mean that sounds reasonable. That sounds believable to you, doesn't it? Okay, now it's time for me to blow your mind. 2% of sales are made on the first contact.
Wow.
2. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. So we're up to 5% only on the first and second. That's crazy. 5% are made on the third. 10% are made on the fourth.
Wow.
How many people actually make the first contact?
That's a big one.
Exactly, man. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact.
Wow.
80%. By the way, I do have results from my social experiment that I was doing over the last couple of weeks. And I wish I had a firm number for you. The best thing I can give you is an estimation. So these guys around my neighborhood, they do like lawn care. They don't do the mowing, but they'll do like the aeration and the seeding and all that kind of stuff. So this guy calls me, and I always love to do sales-based experiences, and I tell them about it after we had a great laugh about it. It was awesome. But anyway, this guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna be in the area. We're doing lawn care in your area. Are you interested? We're offering a promotion." He did all the things right. He introduced himself. He mentioned his company, and I recognized his company, which is really important. He told me there was some promotion. You know what I mean? He put pressure on me to say the promotion is only going to last a certain amount of time. So, you know, and he closed me. He said, "Can I count on you, or are you in?" Say yes. You know what I mean? I was like, no. You know, I was like, nah, you know, I usually go with this other company. So, you know, I'll let you know, kind of thing. And he's like, "Okay, no problem. I'll follow up with you." And I'm like, "Sure you will." This guy blew my mind. With no exaggeration, he contacted me at least 20 times. He attempted to contact me 20 times.
Oh, did he stop yet?
Well, I'll get to that. So he left me no less than 5 voicemails, right? So he wasn't leaving a voicemail on every single call, but this guy was incessant. And I was on purpose. Like, I knew who it was, and I was ignoring his calls because I wanted to see how long it would take. And he got to like 20-something calls. And then finally, he called me, and I'm like, I can't do this to this guy anymore. Like, this guy deserves my business, like 100%. So I picked up the phone, like, "Hey, man." And he's like, "Hey," and he's acting like everything's fine, which is what we're trained to do, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in his head, it's like this. Like he must have been raging in his head, right? So I take the call. I'm like, yeah, hey, listen, sorry I haven't been able to take your call. He's like, oh, it's totally fine. Meanwhile, I'm like, this guy wants to murder me. I'm sure he wants to murder me. So finally, at the end of it, I tell him, listen, man, like I run a large sales team, and I apologize, but I was using you as an experiment. I was seeing how many times you would contact me before you gave up, and honestly, this is a hilarious experiment because you never did.
Yeah.
This is call attempt like something like 20 years, and he told me the exact number. It was in the 20s. Then he was like, actually, it's right, because he had his system open, right? He's like, actually, I called you X amount of times. Don't remember the exact number, but call it 25 for easy math, right? He's like, actually, this is call attempt number 25. I'm like, you're a legend, and I'm absolutely going to go with you guys right now. You ready? He's like, yeah. So I gave him my credit card number. That's it. So it was honestly incredible follow-up. And imagine this. This is going to blow your mind. You want to know how much the service was? $280. The guy called me 25 times for 280 bucks.
Yeah.
He's probably making 30 bucks when I said yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
I don't need to remind you guys how much money we make, right?
Yeah.
And we're not willing to make 25 contacts, but the weed guy is going to call me for 25 times to take care of my lawn? Like, what? At the end of the day, it kind of comes back to the idea that not everybody is built to be their own boss. In real estate, it's kind of like a beautiful thing because we want freedom, but we need structure. Discipline, we need discipline to get freedom. And the freedom that we want is not always the freedom that we need, right? So when it comes to this guy, the reason he made those 25 contacts was because he had a boss. He had a boss telling him, you have to make 25, you have to call these guys. Every goddamn day, you have to call this entire neighborhood every goddamn day. You guys don't have that, and that's great. It's good freedom. But you have to have discipline to be able to get to this guy's level because he's got a boss.
Yeah.
So the discipline means I am going to wake up. I am going to do the lead generation every single day. I am going to do the follow-up. I am going to perform at a super high level because at the end of the day, guys, I've said this before, I'll say it again, is that there's no CEO. You are the CEO of your own business. There's no director of sales. You are the director of sales of your own business, right? There's no salespeople. You are the salesperson for your entire business, right?
Yeah.
There's no director of marketing. There's no manager of human resources. You're all those things in your business as a realtor. You know, we're going to do our best to support you through, administration help with Alex. We're going to cover a lot of your costs, which is awesome. We're going to do X, Y, and Z to make it super, super easy for you guys. But at the end of the day, it's on you guys to be your own best accountability partner. And that's the main lesson here about follow-up is actually going about doing it and doing it at a high enough level where you reap the rewards of that. Because we just read the sales statistics. 5th to 12th contact, right? When the actual specific numbers for the online leads that we buy is 8 to 10 is usually when you're going to get a solid contact from a person where you're going to be able to find out, okay, when are they willing to buy? When do they need to sell? All that kind of stuff. That's usually between 8 and 10. And that study was done by Harvard, so it's very, very specific. Pinkies up, very specific. Yeah, that was my rant on that. Man, the follow-up game on this guy was just insane. I honestly could not believe it. It blew out of the water. The last social experiment that I did, I had a similar thing where this is before I got my Tesla. I was looking at the Chevrolet Volt because it was an electric car, and I was like, cool, I just definitely want an electric car. So I was looking at the Chevrolet Volt, and I called these guys. I set an appointment. I checked it out, and they followed up with me a lot too. And I was ignoring their calls, but for a different reason. I didn't realize at the time that I was running a social experiment, but I realize now I was. But at the time, I was just ignoring them because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to buy a car. So that might be what's going on here, right? You've left these people a message, whether it's a for sale by owner, whether it's an online lead, whether it's an expired listing, you've left them a voicemail, and they know what you're calling about. They know your number now, and they know what you're calling about. Are they ignoring you because they don't need your product and service? Maybe. It's possible. But it also could be that they're ignoring your calls because they're not ready. They're not ready emotionally. They're not ready financially. They're not ready because maybe they don't trust you guys enough. Maybe it's an email follow-up with some kind of way of notching up an expertise. Who knows? But there's a reason that they're ignoring your calls. And you can't immediately just go, oh, they're ignoring your calls. It's a crap lead. It's physicals are crap or all this kind of stuff. And it's not. It's absolutely not the case. What is far more likely is that they're just not ready, and that's totally okay. You know, at the time, I wanted to buy a car. I just, at the time, this was in 2012 or something like that, I just wasn't ready. Legitimately, I just wasn't ready financially, emotionally, everything. Because I went there, I was kind of disappointed with the interest rates on the Chevy Volt at the time. So I was like, I don't want this. But sure enough, when it became time, Chevrolet did call me and I said, yeah, I am ready to trade in my car. Because I need a temporary car that isn't my crappy 2009 Ford Fusion while I wait for my Tesla to get delivered. So I took the call eventually when I was ready to have that conversation with that person. So that's kind of the beauty of follow-up. You know, you want to get those voicemails. You want to be leaving voicemails often. You need to have reasons to follow up. So that's one of the things I want to talk about right now. So it doesn't matter whether we're calling for sale by owner, an expired, a boss lead, or whatever. What are some reasons to follow up? Because it's always better when you have a reason. Yes, you can call and say, I have no reason to call you right now. And you say it with confidence. So you say something like, actually, you know what? I don't actually have a reason to call you. I just want to check in. I just want to see how you're doing. Have you been getting the list of things that I've been sending you? Have you been getting much attention on your for sale by owner listing? Have you been, you know what I mean? You can call and have absolutely no reason, but it is always better to have a reason. Give me some reasons.
If it's a for sale by owner, I have a buyer.
Sure, yeah, if you actually have a buyer that might like the house, sure, follow up, just be like, hey, I know we spoke a couple weeks ago, but actually I've got a buyer that's looking in the area. Would you be open to showing it to me and my buyer? If not, totally cool. When you're ready, we can talk, but you know, I figured could be a win-win for us. What?
I said sold houses around the area.
So yeah, you might have sold one around the area, or you might have had a colleague, maybe somebody in the team that sold one pretty close to you. That would make sense. They'd be like, hey, Bob, you got that property over on Venn. There's one that just sold over on Antoine Faucon. Sold for this amount. Just thought I'd let you know, give you a little market update. And if you really want to be a troll, you can say, has any other agents given you any updates? No? Oh my goodness. You don't say. You free tomorrow? Go ahead.
It's like sometimes I notice they have a price reduction, so
Yeah.
they're very firm. Like, no, I don't want to work with agents, and a week later they reduce their price.
Yeah.
I'll call them and be like, so you reduced our first bar commission. I'm gonna just pay this commission.
Absolutely. Yeah. Price reductions are important. Yeah, you can call them and say, hey, what sparked the price reduction? You know, was it something that maybe somebody found in an inspection that's now causing you to declare it? Is it just you're becoming more motivated? Are you ready to speak to a professional to get this thing done? Absolutely. What's up?
The one I like to follow up is when they have they say they have open houses or they say they have an accepted offer.
Yeah.
I always make sure to call back or ask when the delays are done.
Yep.
And then it actually happened once that the offer didn't go through, and I'm like, wouldn't you like qualified offers and qualified buyers?
Yeah.
She's like, I would love that. I'm like, why aren't you working with an agent? And she had no excuse.
Yeah. Good trap.
Yeah. So.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to become more and more apparent when the market starts shifting a little bit more. The interest rates are starting to go up, which means the buyers are going to start slowing down. Not now. I'd say probably 6-7 months from now, it'll start slowing down a little bit. And that's going to give us a lot more opportunity to list more for sale by owners, I feel like, because they're not going to be just insta-selling like they had been during the spring market, right?
Right? Some of them are still not insta-selling.
No, because, yeah, they're pricing emotionally and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Absolutely. What other follow-ups? What other reasons to follow up could there be? You know, it doesn't have to be for sale by owners. We can talk about online leads. We can talk about expired listings. We can talk about just neighborhood calls or whatever.
Getting them on an automated email list.
Yep.
Or referring to a property on the automated email list to see what it was that about the home that
Yeah.
they wanted to visit it or didn't want to.
Yeah, I think paying attention to how they react to the properties, right? When you send an auto email, they've got those little icons to see whether it's an idea, it's a trash bin, or it's a heart, right?
Yeah.
So if they put an idea, that's a great reason to call them. Any actually reaction is a great reason to call them. Or even trash can. Be like, hey, I noticed you threw this fun in the trash can. What made that an absolute no for you, out of curiosity? Because I want to make sure that I'm always tweaking your list. I want to make sure that it's always great properties for you. So what made this such a trash bag for you?
Honestly, every single day I look at my matrix, and when I see hearts or the possibility, these are the first people you should be calling because they want to visit. Like, they like something, so you
So
should
you're gonna say
always
they're
call.
all trash. And every
No.
day they're just all trash.
No. But like, I think these are the hottest buyers. that
For
are,
sure.
like,
If they're actually
putting
interacting,
hearts,
yeah.
that are putting hearts, you call right away. Do you want to visit? Do you want to visit? Do you want to visit?
Yeah. If they're interacting with your listings, I think that's really, really important for sure. And it's a great reason to follow up. What else?
Do you have well, for one, I had one that came up the other day. It was a Mojo that I called 6 months ago.
Oh, cool.
And he was just like, I remember I took a note saying that he was maybe looking to sell come the summertime.
Yeah.
So I called him back, and it turns out he's not interested anymore.
Okay.
So he saw the interest rates rising and just said, I don't want to sell anymore.
Okay.
You just said a reason to call people when interest rates.
Yeah, absolutely. The changing interest rates, especially for buyers. You can just say, hey, I'm just giving all my buyers, even if this guy's in watch, by the way, he's your buyer. And I'm just calling all my buyers right now to let them know about the interest rate hike and how it might affect them. Do you have any questions for me as your realtor? You know what I mean? Like, see how many seeds I did there? There was like 30 seeds there. It's ridiculous. So now this guy knows, like, oh shit, this is my real estate guy. I've got a suit guy, I've got a watch guy, now I got a real estate guy. You know what I mean? He's got all the guys. Absolutely. What else?
Burger.
I think, well, guy, you know,
I'm joking.
I could have a watch guy
I'm
that's a
just
girl.
joking with
You know, I could have a suit guy that's a girl. So what else? I think the longer term boss leads would be something I want to touch on, and the longer term mojo leads I'd like to touch on. Because I feel like those are the hardest to come up with reasons to contact. So I'm going to look to Severo for this. So long-term boss leads and long-term mojos, because you and Benji, I think, probably have been the ones to convert the oldest boss leads. So how do you follow up with somebody when they've told you a year ago that they're not ready to buy in a year, and you call them, let's say, in 2 months? What do you say to somebody?
I always have the same bit for a follow-up.
Yep.
It's like, hey, it's Severo with Montreal's Real Estate Group. I'm just giving you a quick call to follow up. I don't know if you remember, but we spoke a little bit last year. You mentioned that you had plans on purchasing a property. I just wanted to know where your plans are.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
You just do a little. You just tell them a little bit of what you spoke about beforehand.
Yeah.
Like the last conversation. They'll like that specific thing you remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just ask them.
Cool.
You're just following up.
Benji, what are you doing when you're following up with a long-term lead? Whether it's like an old transmission, an old mojo, an old boss lead, whatever.
Revisit what we talked about and ask them questions.
Okay, awesome. So you're taking notes then. Awesome. Yeah. So this is really super important. It was alluded to here, but I'm going to go into a little more detail. When you're talking to these people, you have to be rigorously taking notes, because if you can do callbacks, that's awesome. Because they're gonna love that you remembered certain things about them, and that's going to be very important to them when it comes to trusting you, because people do business with people they
like and trust.
Absolutely. So if you notch the trust right away by saying, hey, you mentioned that this, that, and this was important to you, or you mentioned that you had this going on, or you mentioned that your husband just got out of hip surgery, or something like that, they're gonna, oh my God.
And if you call them when you actually tell them that you're going to call them,
Yes.
like they'll start being like
Yep.
impressed.
Yep.
And be like, hey man, like,
Yep.
they'll actually tell you like, wow.
Anybody seen Boiler Room, the movie? Everybody's hand should be up right now. But if you've watched Boiler Room, the movie, one of the things that they do on the phone is they say, you know, you were sent an information packet, and of course they didn't open it because nobody opens information packets. But then he says, but more importantly, we made a commitment to get back to you at this time. Powerful stuff. Super powerful stuff. Yes, sir.
And follow-up boss, to help you follow up with the long-term needs.
Yeah.
You can actually put a star on a certain conversation and don't say you need
Yeah, to stick it to the top kind of thing. Yeah.
Because you lose your conversation after 50 emails and you don't remember what you talked about.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great tip.
Follow up.
It's in their timeline, I guess you would call it. Yeah. Really cool. Love that. So yeah, I don't think there should be any trouble trying to find reasons to reach out, because we just went over reasons that, you know, I'm calling it check-in, which is great. It's not the most powerful thing, but for sometimes you don't have a lot of information to work off of.
It's a lot easier to follow up when you like spoke about something
Exactly.
in the past.
Yep. The nurtures and are definitely way easier to follow up with than the watches. No, absolutely no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. But yeah. So yeah, the follow-up game, man, it's honestly what separates the wheat from the chaff, that's for sure. Is just your ability to stick with something and to rigorously follow up with a lead. Like absolutely nonstop. And having a certain attitude, I think, is really important. And it's an attitude that, you know, don't get it misconstrued. It's the attitude that you don't need their business, you value it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
So it's actually a quote from Boiler Room as well. It's, I don't need your business. I value it. What does that mean? And you emphasis the value, because if you emphasize the need, it's like, oh, this guy's a prick. But it's not that. You're fine. You know what I mean? You've got other things going on, but you really want to help this person. You value that they are having a conversation with you. They value that you value that they trust you, that they like you, that they've accepted to receive the phone call, that they've accepted to receive listings from you, all that kind of stuff. You value that. It's very important to you. But the attitude is also that you don't necessarily need their business. You're not going to bend over backwards for them. You're going to do everything in your power to make sure that they get a great deal, they sell their house, they find a place of their dreams, all that kind of stuff. But you're just not going to have this attitude of you're just going to do whatever. You know what I mean? There has to be like a nice separation there. And that attitude is very powerful because it's an attitude that you're not going to get walked all over. You know, very, very important to have. And it's great for kind of that nonchalant type of pitch, which I advocate for always, which is when you're on the phone with, whether it's a for sale by owner, whether it's ERS leads, whether it's whatever it is, just being a fun guy to talk to is the number one thing. To me, it's the number one thing. If they like the process of talking to you, they're going to like the process of working with you. If they get a good vibe from you, they're going to want to work with you. So if you're coming across robotic or canned, you're only going to appeal to a very small subsection of people. But if you're an outgoing, fun, notching your energy up piece by piece, and you're going to follow up with them rigorously, and you're going to follow through on your commitments to get back to people and all that kind of stuff, you know, you're going to get a lot of business. So that's what I got so far today, guys. We can do a little Q&A now if you want. Anything, lead generation, lead follow-up. I want to open this up. Let's make a little mastermind here for another, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Yes?
Something I like to do when I'm like lead generating is, like you said, everything's very casual. When they get calls from so many agents,
Yes.
especially for sale by owners, it's
Absolutely.
like same thing all the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of like bring it down a little. Like you said, we don't need your business, but it's more like we don't want to trap you in a contract. But
Yeah.
as rules,
100%.
we want to.
Yes.
I said we want you to like the quality of our service.
Yes.
And that kind of takes them back by saying, one, it's casual on their end,
Yep.
and two, just kind of like not making it seem so like going for the close right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I find that warms them up. Like I
For sure.
that have longer calls and like really talk to them more than just like just want to put on hold, blah, 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 and then they just
Yeah, the idea that all of our contracts are cancelable, I just love that so much. When I started working with my mom and dad like 10 years ago or whenever it was really a no-brainer. All these people had reticence about the contract. They're like, I don't want to sign anything. It's like, dude, sign it. We'll tear it up tomorrow if you don't want it. It's totally fine. You know what I mean? And it was also around the same time, it wasn't 10 years ago, it was like 12 years ago, but it was right around the same time that Kudo came out. Y'all remember Kudo?
Oh my God.
So they busted in, they were like, no contracts. And Bell and Rogers were like, oh my God, they're ruining my life. And it was awesome. So that's right around when that was happening. So I said we should be doing the same thing with real estate. Nobody should be tied into a contract if they're not happy. You know what I mean? If they want to leave, they should be able to leave. If we're not following up with our sellers diligently enough, you know, on a weekly basis, checking in on them, making sure that they're good, we deserve to be fired. You know?
If they leave from a contract, it's because like you did something. Nobody wants to do another fucking seller's declaration.
Nobody wants to do
Fucking
that.
sit down again.
Nope. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I've closed appointments doing that. So yeah, absolutely.
To add to what Matt was saying, like I've told for sale by owners, like, so they go, if I may ask, why have you? Because it's not, I don't deal with brokers. So what happened in the past that made you not deal with brokers?
Yeah, this is one of my
That's
favorite questions too. Yeah, absolutely.
And say, well, you're too pushy. I'm like, okay, and then you sort of read off what they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
I love that because you get right to the crux of it because there's a reason why they want to do proprio, right? They want to do proprio because some broker at some point in time screwed them over somehow,
Or they're
you
cheap.
know? Or yeah, could be that. But if it's a cheap thing, if that's what it is, that they're just really just not about paying commission, I don't think they're cheap. I just think they're not educated in the value of having a real estate broker. And
Right.
fortunately for me, both my parents were in real estate, so I understood it from a very young age. It's like, no, you have somebody representing your best interests. A good broker is free.
Yeah.
A good broker should not cost you a penny. Might make you some money, but the worst case scenario is they're free. And you have, of course, the insurances around having somebody take care of your paperwork, have somebody be present for building inspection, make sure that they're advocating for on your behalf, that they're defending you in negotiations, all that kind of stuff. And more importantly, somebody who's literally compensated for accomplishing their task. Imagine doctors only got paid when the surgery was a massive success. You know what I mean? Like what? We're one of the only professions that we only get paid if the job is done 100% perfectly.
Yeah.
It has to be done for us to get paid, which is a cool thing. So I love both those things because it's just like, we don't hold you to a contract, so you can cancel at any time. And it's free to list. We bear all the expenses of putting it on MLS, taking the photos, making sure you got a 3D tour, everything is done for you. And it's free. And you don't have to accept any offers that you don't want to. So tell me, what is holding you back right now? Because I have to tell you, if I had to sell my house, I would do what you're doing right now. Do both. Why not do both? Right? Meanwhile, I'm like, no, I'd probably just put it on the MLS myself, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, what's up?
Another thing is I find like they say, well, when a buyer's looking for a house, they don't just look on MLS, they look everywhere, so they'll see mine anyway.
Yeah.
Like, sort of thing. So it's like,
Sure.
I find the only thing that you have when you say that is basically they take us more serious when they kind of look at our listing and
Yeah.
put offers in.
Yeah.
So that's like another.
So we're getting into
But
some
that's
objection
actually
handling, but
not super true, though.
it might be. So I never like to argue with people. I said, you might be right. That's code for you're wrong. But so you absolutely might be right. The only difference I think is that when somebody's looking at a DeProprio listing and it says right on the DeProprio listing, no commission, they know that you're saving the commission. So they think to themselves, wait a second, why is this person saving the commission? Why can't I save the commission? So they're going to start 4% off your listing price, maybe more. Before they even think about negotiating, they're like, okay, $100,000 minus $4,000. Now let's negotiate. Now let's take 10. Now let's take another 5. So both sides can't save the commission. That's why for sale by owner websites have never worked at large scales, because both sides can never save the commission. It doesn't exist. It can't be done.
Another thing for exposure to people on the market is, sure, some buyers will feel comfortable going directly to the seller and doing everything themselves. But an example that I like to go through if I have the opportunity to is one of my clients during the pandemic. We weren't allowed to shop for properties, so he could only shop on DeProprio. And he tried to shop through DeProprio and exit right away. He said, I would rather be homeless and figure something else out than try to buy the property directly from the seller, because I can't trust what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's like they're telling me so many different things, and I know it's all bullshit, but I can't. I don't know how to deal with this, so I don't want to do that. There are so many buyers out there who are like that. So yes, it will get some buyers from DeProprio, but no, it will definitely not get all buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
And also, don't like 40 of them end up in court, 40% of them end up in court. Like,
But 80% of housing court cases were
like,
Wow,
Really?
that's hilarious.
Wow.
only 20%.
And saved to memory. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Saving that. Saving that to my random access
I don't know
memory.
the exact statistic, but it's around 80% of housing.
But yeah, I know one of them.
Well, so guys,
That's
the important thing here is that we're under a real estate governing body. We have rules and regulations, right? We're allowed to advertise in certain conditions. We're not allowed to advertise in other conditions. We're allowed to say certain things, and we are not allowed to say other things. Those rules do not apply to for sale by owners. So if you have an opportunity to get kind of deep with somebody over the phone, that's something I would bring up. I'd say, listen, when you're dealing with a real estate broker, you know that you're protected because we cannot say certain things and we cannot divulge certain things. We have to divulge everything, or else we might lose our livelihood.
And we have a $2 million insurance
Exactly.
also to protect if something happens.
Exactly.
They don't.
Exactly. So bang bang.
I always tell my clients that if you have the opportunity to sue me, please do. I have the insurance there for that. Like, I'd rather pay $2,500 and get you whatever was wrong fixed than you have to cross that you pay out of pocket for.
Exactly. John's never been sued, guys. Never been. We're on camera. I need to make sure. John's the best. He's never been sued.
For real estate.
Cool. Any other questions lead generation, lead follow-up.
I think one thing we didn't touch in follow-up is, we can follow up with these people for non-real estate related stuff too.
Yeah.
Hey, just call and say happy Easter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
that's
what
what I said.
Mhm.
I'm now your friend.
Yep.
Not many people is, I just want to say happy Easter, have a great one. See you later.
Yeah, absolutely. Holidays, stuff like that, for sure. People want to shop with their friends, right, John?
That's it. So go shopping with friends.
That's right. Good stuff.
And then lastly, on the follow-ups too, talk about the for sale by owners. There will be times where the for sale by owners will not pick up your call. They could have blocked you, or they could just not be picking up your call. You'll know if they blocked you. But if they're not picking up your call and it's ringing through and going to their voicemail and you can leave voicemails, I did that with a for sale by owner once, and it just stuck with them over and over again. It took the whole summer, but at the end of the summer, that for sale by owner called me back and said, I'm going to list with you, and the reason why is because everybody else stopped calling me. You were the only person who kept calling.
I love it.
Yeah. So sometimes just the persistence alone. I never even spoke with her. I spoke with her once, and then after that, I just kept leaving voicemails, kept calling.
John's the real estate weed dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the real estate version of the guy who will not stop calling me.
It was not 20 bucks. It was less than 20 bucks.
Yeah, sure.
And I made way more than $250.
Hell yeah, you did. Hell yeah, you did. Cool, guys. Thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.